Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Stingy Cages. That's stingy with a G, not stinky. And to try and represent that, we have like cages containing weird creatures in them that potentially will sting you if you try and put your hand through them. And here is Sleuth in a warehouse filled with these odd creatures and a magnifying glass to study them for some reason. Now, today's rule sets, we actually have seen something very similar once before, or similar, I emphasize, not exactly the same, which is all about stingy killer cages. So I assume the creatures in these cages can also kill you if you're not careful. Let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule sets. So, Stingy Cages by Sujoyku, or yeah, I'm going to pronounce it Sujoyku. Rules-wise, we've got couple of standard ones. Normal Sudoku rules apply, means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Then there is the killer cage rules, which is digits in a cage must sum to the clue in the top left. We don't have to worry about uniqueness. All of the cages are always in the same box at a minimum, if not even the same column and row. So let's take an example. If this cell here was a 2, this would have to be a 3, so that these two cells add up to 5. And these two cells add up to 7. Now, here is the interesting bit. The stingy condition. Any two killer cages can have at most one digit in common. For example, if a cage contains the digits 1 and 2, no other cage may have both of these digits. So, now that I've placed the 2 and 3 in here inside this 5 cage, well, I can't use, they're in the same box, that's a terrible example. The 11 cage. A few ways of doing 11. I could have done 2, 9. No, that's a bad example as well. Sorry, I'm looking for another one. Right. No, come on. How am I doing this? I can't really do this without solving it. Let's go with... Right, let's try this. If this 8 cage was 3, 5, this 9 cage, or this 9 cage, which you can see is in a different box, in a different row, so it really doesn't see these cages at all, this 8 cage specifically. But if I put the digits 1, 3, and 5, I have broken the stingy condition, because in essence, 2 of the digits, the 3 and the 5, are common with the 8. Now, I can have 1 common digits, but 2 digits is just not going to work. So, that's all the rules we have for today. Now, if I can find and remember where the other puzzle that's similar to this is, I will leave a link in the description up here somewhere. I say in the description, in a card up here for you to use, and then in the description below. But with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So, quick scan of the grid. We have 1 5 cage, 1 7 cage, 1 8 cage, 3 9 cages that are 3 cells. So that's interesting. No 10s, 11s. We've got 3 of them. That's also interesting. 12, only the 1. Then 15, and 3 21s. So the reason I said the 9s are interesting is if you do 9 in 3 cells, there's essentially 3 ways of doing it. 1 2 6 is one option. 1 3 5 is another option. And then the last option is 2 3 4. And I say that's interesting because I came up with an example here with a 5 that uses 1 and 4. And 2 and 3. And if I use 2 and 3, well, it shares 2 digits with one of these 9 cages and it breaks. So this has to be 1 4. And then the 7 cage can't be 1 6, can't be 3 4. This is 2 5. And where do we go from here? So I think that in general, the 3 cages are going to be interesting. So the equivalent, the equivalent for the 21 is probably going to put some constraints on, 15 probably? and the 13. So let's think about those for a second. So 21 in three cells. I'm guessing, once again, there's only 3 ways of doing it. So 4, 8, 9 is one. 9, 7, and 5 is another. All I'm really doing is just taking the complement of whatever these digits are, and then 6, 7, 8 is another. And I'm going to say this is the only way of doing these 3 cages. Now, why is that interesting? 6, 7, 8 eliminates the 7, 8 option from the 15, so that has to be a 6, 9 one. And then the 13 cage, they're not in this, unlike the 5 and the 7 down here, they're in different boxes. So the 13 cage is actually kind of less interesting now. Let's think about it. So I could do 6, 7, which doesn't work with the 6, 7, 8. Okay, good to know. 5, 8, and 4, 9 doesn't work. 4, 9 doesn't work because it breaks this option. So this is 5, 8. Again, it is the 10 complement of what's going on down here. Interesting. Should I be thinking? I mean, the clues are not really rotationally symmetrical, so I can't make any assumptions about that. But that is, like I said, very interesting to know. Okay. Where do we go from there? So I think we've... Problem is, whilst these are interesting, actually, now that we have these and we know what the 21 cage is, so let's just think about what are the remaining options that I have. So the 11, the 12, the 8. Yeah, so let's think about 11. 11 in 3 cells. So three 2-cell 11 cages, pardon me. So my full options are 2, 9, 3, 8, 4, 7, and 5, 6. That's a terrible kind of setup there. 2, 9, 3, 8, 4, 7, and 5, 6. Now, one of these is not going to work. I'm hoping one of these is not going to work. Let's think about which one. Yeah, so with the 9, it's not going to have a problem, is it? Only one, only one, only one, and only one. And I guess the equivalent here, yeah. So not really. Okay. What about, yeah, it's not going to have anything, it's not going to have 2 digits in common with any of these because they're 2 themselves. So maybe let's think about the 8s and 12s as well. Yeah, so the 8 is, no, the 12 is interesting. So 12, they're both interesting. So 11 here, 12 there. I'm just putting some labels in so that we think about them all together. So the 8 could be 1, 7, 2, 6, and 3, 5. And the 12, and you can see, oh, well, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I should stop doing that. 3, 9, 4, 8, and 5, 7. Now 4, 8 breaks with one of the 21 cages, so that's not an option. 5, 7 breaks with one of the 21 cages as well, so that's not an option. So the 12 is forced. It has to be 3, 9. And therefore this 9 cage, well, it's not the 2, 3, 4 or 1, 3, 5 because 3 is gone from this setup. This is 1, 2, 6, and specifically our first digit 5 minutes in, that's a 2. This is a 1, 6 pair. Right, so 12 is done. 8 hopefully will have a few conflicts with the 9 cage. Why would it have a conflict with the 9 cage? I don't know. 3, 5 doesn't work with the 1, 3, 5. 2, 6 doesn't work with the 1, 2, 6. So this is also fixed. This is 1, 7. So it's really only the 11 cage that's kind of unknown. 1, 7 takes a look at this 1, 6. That's 6. That's 1. This 21 doesn't have a 7 in it anymore. So this is 4, 8, 9. And the 3, 9 gives me 9 and 4, 8. And the 5, 8 gives me another digit. That's got to be a 4. That's got to be an 8. That 9 gives me a 6, gives me a 9. This is going unexpectedly well. We really need to think about these. Like I'm going to try and move the 11 references somewhere so I can just think about it in a bit. 3, 8, 4, 7, and 5, 6, and just start to clean up this mess a bit. This 9 cage doesn't have a 6. Well, we've already placed a 1, 2, 6. So this is either 1, 3, 5 or 2, 3, 4, and I don't know which one it is. The 21 cage, we've already placed a 4, 8, 9. I don't really want to pencil mark all the options. What I'm going to do is do something unusual, something that looks like this. And I ended up doing the exact same kind of pencil marking to remind myself of what the options are. And then for the 9 cage, we've already used the 1, 2, 6. So this is either 1, 3, 5 or 2, 3, 4. Same is true here, 1, 3, 5 and 2, 3, 4. Right, bit tidier now. Which of the 11 cages is looking at something interesting? Not sure. So these two, like my temptation is to say that it's 6, 7, 8 and 2, 3, 4. And then that there are 1, 5 and 9 down the middle. Because it just, the symmetry of it is pleasing. Let me put it that way. It's not very particularly good reason. And that is definitely not a good reason. We can do a bit of Sudoku. I think it is time for us to do a bit of Sudoku, actually. So I need to keep finding a home that is undisturbed for these references for the 11s. But take a look at 2s and ask the question, where does 2 go in box 9? Well, it can't be inside a 21 cage. That's not an option. So that's the only place for a 2. And maybe there is an 8 setup going on here. Yeah, that's an 8. Can we do like the vertical equivalent? Not really. That would be 9, that would be 2 if I put it inside the 11. And of course it doesn't have to be, so not really. Let's think about the 11 cage here, because it's not 5, 6, it's not 2, 9. This is 3, 8 or 4, 7. And if it's a 3, 8, that's the 8, that's the 3. And if it's 4, 7, either way would work. And between, interestingly, there's always a 7 in the remaining 21 cage. So that can't be 4, 7. That is 8, 3 in this order because of this 8. So that's gone. And therefore, this is not the 6, 7, 8 option. This is the 5, 7, 9 option. And specifically with that 9, that's a 5, 7 pair. And that's a 9. And this was indeed the 6, 7, 8 kind of option in box 5. Do we have something similar? So the 11 cage here was very restricted in the row. Not restricted, not really restricted. I mean, it's not 2, 9, it's not 3, 8. This is 4, 7 or 5, 6. So let's think about what does that do for us? And now we can just tidy up all of these. No, we can't. We don't know what this is yet. We know what these 3 cells are. So that's 1, that's 4, and I'm going to say a 2. So that removes the 4, 7 option. This is the 5, 6 option. So this option now is either 2, 9, which can only be in this direction, or 4, 7. And again, with the 7 here, that would be the 7, that would be the 4. And now that's a full set of, well, I was almost going to say normal pencil marks. I haven't sorted out the 9 yet. Let's see if we can fix these. So my options are 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5. Notice the 6s line up. So that's a 6. I mean, if you've got a freebie Sudoku, you may as well use it. Although clearly that's not what I'm trying to solve right now. Kind of surprised I don't seem to be able to figure this one out. So my options are 2 with 3, 4. Don't see a problem with that. 2, 7, or sorry, 2, 9 or 4, 7. Yeah, not too sure. These now, let's think about it for a second. So we have 1, 6, which is not this cell. That's 1, 6. That 5, 6 gives me 6, gives me 1. And it leaves me with a 4. So if this is 2, 3, 4, oh, it can't be 2, 3, 4 anymore because 2 and 4 can't be, they can't both be in this cell basically. So this is 1, 3, 5, and that 1 gives me a 1, gives me a 3, 5. So it was kind of the expected, yeah, so rotational symmetry definitely doesn't apply. And, you know, we've got clearly many evidence of it, it's not there. But anyway, I still like the fact that there's a bit of symmetry going on here. 1, 5, and 9. And I think we've kind of used all we can from the Stingy rule. Let's think about the 11. So we've used 5, 6, we've used 3, 8, and then we're left with 2 options, both of which would work. So yeah, let's move on then. So 4, that's 4. Let's focus on a bit of Sudoku then. We've got 7 and 2, that's 2, that's 7. Because of this 2, and this is another 7. These 3 cells are now known. They're not 1, 2, they are 3, 8, and 9. Surely there is enough. Oh yeah, that 7 gave me what I needed earlier. Just needed to pay attention. That's not a 9. These are not 2s. That is the 2. Neither of these are 2. That's the 2. That can't be a 4. That's 1. That's 4. That's 5. This is not 3 or 9. That's an 8. Okay. No 5s in here now. Can I place the 1, 9? Not yet. I was actually surprised. Kind of the symmetry very much broke there, that the 5 is not here. I say surprised, but hoping for. Anyway, these 2 cells, one of them needs to be a 1. It can only be this one and a 3. These 3 cells, so I have 1, 2, 3. I need 4, 5, and 8. I don't seem to be able to really restrict it much. 4 is not here. 4 is not there. That's 4. And then 5 and 8. Both of which are allowed. That 2 gave me a 5 and a 2. That 5 gave me an 8 and a 5. These are not 8s. That is an 8. Did that 2 and 5 help? That 1 did. That's 9. That's 1. That 9 gave me more. That's 3. That's 9. The 5 and 6 not resolved. The 3 and 4 not resolved. The 1 and 4 is 4, 1, 3, 4. Lovely. Just double checking that I haven't missed anything obvious. Often the case, let's be fair. These 2 cells, they are 7 and 9. No restrictions. And then in here, I need another 7, 9, then another 5, 8. Not a 9 though, so that's the 9. That's the 7. Because it's not 7 and 9. That's the 7. That's the 9. Because of the 9s, I mean, pay attention. Then we have another 5, 8, and a 4. That's the 4, and that's the 5, 8. That can't be a 5 anymore with a 5, 8 pair. That's the 5. This is 3 or 9. It's not a 9. That's 3. That's 9. That was resolved ages ago. Come on. Sleuth, 3, 9. You know, like a fabulous solve, and then you just trip up on the most clumsy of things. So I need a 7, a 3, and an 8. The 8 is here, the 3 is there, the 7 is here. Right. Well, can I place any of these yet? No. No. These 3, we've been generally quite lucky with those corner triplets. So I need 2, which is none of these cells. That's 2. I need 5 and 6. Can't resolve it, but it does give me an 8 at the bottom. 8, 5, 8. These 2 cells are now known. They are 3, which can only be here, and 7, which can only be there, which gives me 6, 7, 6. How did I manage to break this as well? Dear, oh dear. What? With a 3, 5? What are you doing, Sleuth? Right, so that's 1. That's 6. And then the 1, that was a 3. That's the 1, 5. And then I've hopefully fixed this mess. And then the 9 gives me 3, 9, and 8. Hopefully that's a recovery. 6 gives me 5 and 6. We'll see in a second if it is a recovery. No, not 2. 5. Maybe I should take a break after this one rather than try and solve another puzzle. 2s. Right. Let's play it safe now. 3, 4, 5 is placed. 6 is one of these 2 cells, which is not helpful. This cell should be. That's 7. That's 1. That's 7. That's 1. That's 5. That's 6. That's 5. That's 6. And if I've not made any more mistakes, that's a 9 for the finish. Sujoyku, wonderful puzzle. Excuse the clumsiness of the Sudoku bit of this Sudoku puzzle. The Stingy Cages bit I'm quite proud of, though. That was pretty smooth until, we got on to the next bit. Anyhow, hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle and video. I mean, the video was certainly entertaining for me. And see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.